anxiety-free high achiever. Don't worry, I am not going to give you breathing techniques or coping skills, and I'm not going to tell you that it's just in your mind. I am also not going to tell you to just calm down. I am not going to tell you that just relax, everything is fine, what's wrong with you, just calm down. No. Why am I not going to tell you that? Because it doesn't work and it's really awful advice. In fact, it's dangerous advice. Not only is it inefficient, it doesn't work, and that's not what you need. So many high achievers struggle with anxiety, which of course is sort of the silent thief of your joy. Nobody would know you have it. You function properly, perfectly out there, like you put on a smile and you go through the motions, but inside you are riddled with anxiety. So, what do we do about that? Well, in this video, I want to explain how a person, a high achiever, can actually, for once and for all, be free. Yes, I said free, not just coping skills, not just band-aids, not just temporary relief, not just, distractions. No, I'm not going to tell you to meditate, okay? Please. I'm not going to tell you to journal. I'm not going to tell you to say affirmations. Like most of this stuff that I already mentioned are distractions at best, and they might give you temporary relief, but that is not what we do here. Here, we actually help people be free of those things that are holding them back from being their best self, and anxiety happens to be one of those. I'm going to explain to you what anxiety really is, especially the chronic, crippling kind that no matter what, you can't shut it off. That's the kind, because anxiety is actually something that is natural and healthy, necessary and good. But it's not good when it's turned up to a level 10 all day long. The alarm system is going, 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 but there's no fire. That's not good. That is unsustainable, unhealthy, unnecessary. And when you're in that state, you cannot expect of yourself to operate as your best self. So please understand it. And please, another thing, this is not your fault. You do not need more willpower. You don't need more self discipline. This is not a lack of motivation problem. This is not a lack of intelligence problem. No, this is not a personality disorder. It is not. It's not a character flaw. This is not a brain chemistry problem. I know there's a big propaganda that right now is speaking completely against that, that is trying to brainwash people, convincing them it's their genetics, it's their brain chemistry, and that's just how you are. If that were true, okay, if that were 100% true, because truth is when it's all the time. That's truth to me. When something is white, it's always white. But when it comes to this whole propaganda about brain chemistry, if that were true, then the urban method hypnotherapy wouldn't work. But it does work. You don't say, Interesting, right? Because people typically come to me as a last resort. They're still struggling with anxiety. They're still suffering. They still can't sleep at night. Lack of self confidence, no inner peace. And, and here's the kicker, what breaks my heart the most is they have already done all kinds of therapies, methods, interventions, healing modalities, energy this, ayahuasca that. They have done so many things to help them heal, only to find out it didn't work or it gave them temporary relief. And that breaks my heart because so many people have already spent tens of thousands of dollars on all kinds of therapies. And I can also tell you exactly why they don't work. Because as a hypnotherapist, I work radically different than conventional traditional methods. Most of those methods are surface level. They will work with the logic, the conscious part of your brain, which is a good start, very important. We got to include the conscious part of the brain, which is the decision maker, a little bit of willpower there, and goal setter, right? The logic part of you. Yes. But anxiety is being controlled by the biological, it's being controlled by the subconscious. And nobody touches that except we do it over here. For the most part, people have anxiety. I'm talking about chronic crippling anxiety that is very difficult to manage for them because they have childhood programming running their adult life. But your doctor won't tell you that, your therapist won't tell you that, your clinician won't tell you that, your psychotherapist won't tell you that, and your psychologist won't tell you that because they typically work with the conscious part of your brain. So no wonder it's a very incomplete, insufficient approach. I'm not saying it's bad. And if you have received sufficient, satisfying help with those modalities, then that's great. Then keep going back to that. Obviously, work what works. I'm talking to the people who haven't, thanks for all the hearts, have not received the help they have so generously paid for. Carl Jung, the statement that he's famous for, this is the statement as a hypnotherapist I stand on. This is the hill I will die on. This is the stuff that I preach on. Here it is. Until you make conscious what's in your subconscious, it will control your life. And then we call it bad luck, fate, genetics, heredity, blah, blah, blah. No, you just need to understand what is in your subconscious. What are those behaviors, actions, beliefs, thoughts that are running on autopilot? They're running your life, ruining your life. But remember that the key, the secret code in this is until you make conscious what's in your subconscious. Subconscious just means out of your awareness. And with our work here, we get to look at what's in your subconscious so that you can bring it from the darkness into the light. And once it's in the light, you gain so much more information. Information isn't enough. We need transformation, we need intervention. But once the information is there, now we know the intervention we need to take so that you can change. You will get to see a much bigger perspective. What is the actual real cause for this anxiety? And like I said, for so many people, unbeknownst to them, this might have started when they were 3 years old, 5 years old, 7 years old. And then something in adulthood will trigger that, and boom, there it is, full blown program. So the good news that I have here for you is anxiety is really just, and when I say just, no disrespect, I'm not here to undermine the problem. That's not the kind of just I mean. When I say just from a mechanical perspective, it means that this is just a program that is in your subconscious that is running on autopilot. And by the way, you want an example of that? We have so many programs running in our subconscious, and so many of them are amazing. They keep us alive. Like, for example, if you know how to take a shower with your eyes closed, if you know how to tie your shoes, if you know how to type on a computer, if you know how to use the phone. I mean, so many of these activities are incredibly complex, incredibly complex. And nobody ever questions it. Like people just take it for granted. No, that's not something to be taken for granted. The fact that you know how to take a shower, the fact that you know how to hold a spoon, the fact that you know how to differentiate the colors, that's incredibly complex to the subconscious. And yet, you can do it in your sleep. Well, those are programs. And just like that, anxiety is one of those programs. The best part is something we can change by reprogramming the subconscious. Yep, easy said. Mechanically, this is a very easy thing to say, and it's not that hard to do, except when we do it, we you need to understand you have been wired like this for a very, very, very long time. So we're going to take a little bit of time to reverse it, right? To change it. Because so much of anxiety is a habit. People who do anxiety have become expert in the behaviors of anxiety. That includes how they think, how they feel, what they speak, their internal self-talk, how they behave. There's many patterns involved in this, and yet it has become a very predictable program that is running on autopilot. And I don't know about you, when it comes to tying your shoelaces, yeah, that might be a good idea to have run on autopilot. But when it comes to anxiety, I don't think so, not over my dead body. And that's why I explain to my clients on day one, this is not your fault. You didn't cause this. You didn't install this. You didn't create this. You didn't put this there on purpose. This was done in your childhood. Anxiety means you have a dysregulated nervous system. You have a nervous system that is constantly running in survival mode, fight, flight, freeze state. And ultimately, it's childhood programming running your adult life. That is what's causing the fear, the hesitation, the lack of confidence, the constant worrying. When is the other shoe going to drop? What else is going to happen? Doom and gloom. Oh my God, I don't want to be so anxious. Yeah, it's all part of the program, but that's not a way to live. Nobody should have to put up with this, nor do they have to. And this is why I explain, even after just one session of the Urban Method hypnotherapy, people start, and I'm not here to brag or boast. This is literally about impressing upon you the power of your subconscious. That's why this works. Because we're working with your system. And I actually know how to tap into your system so that you can make that change. That's what is so gratifying about this work. It's like, I can't even explain in words how incredibly fulfilling this is when people work with me for a while. And like I said, even just after one session, Monday, I was working with a gentleman in his early 60s, and he said, Susan, for as long as I can remember, I would always wake up with this pit in my stomach. And then the thoughts would come, and oh my God, the problems and what I have to tackle today. Oh my God, da da da. And already his mind was in this spiral of doom and gloom. And he didn't even get out of bed yet. That's just not cool. The very next day after we had our session, he said, Susan, I don't understand. I woke up without anxiety. I got to say, I told you so. This is the best part, right? And when a person gets results like that, when a client gets results like that, that gives them hope. It's like, man, like for the first time in my life, something actually worked. Well, that's the point. That's the whole point. That's what I want for you, right? Because I want you to see that you have the resources inside of you. It's not Susan did something and said, no, it's not what I did or said. It's I show you where to go inside, where to find the goods so that you can use them. That's the best. So, in that sense, what I really love about hypnotherapy, it's one of the most self empowering. You become self empowered. You get to elevate yourself. You get to evolve yourself. Not because of what I said, it's because of what you did inside while we worked together. That's what gives people self confidence, self trust again, feeling self assured again. That's the point. Because once you start to experience, then it's like, what problems? Like you go back out into the world and the world has started to change. You start to change the way you look at things. And that's what I want for you. And I promise you, the anxiety is not there because you have too much stress. There's no way. You are an incredibly resilient, capable, competent, strong, powerful human being. It is not the stress. That is, you can handle 10 times that. I promise you. You literally are that resilient. It's not the stress. Because if we're going to blame, we need to blame intelligently. Some people think, oh, when my kids get out of college or when my kids are grown up or when I have the money in the bank account, then I'll have less anxiety. That's a trap. No, you need to get less anxiety now so that you can start to enjoy your life better. So, again, I just want to wrap this up. Please understand anxiety is not brain chemistry disorder, personality disorder. It's not genetics faulty, it's supplements missing. Like I've heard it all before. Conventional therapies typically don't work because there's already proof in the pudding. Like so many of my clients complain. It's their biggest complaint is I've already done and tried everything. And when I hear that, I'm like, man, my heart goes out to you. I know exactly what you mean. And then within one session, naturally, virtually, and relatively quickly, there's a bit of work to do, right? But when you get to see that there are resources inside of you that help you change this, it's the best feeling in the world. So anyhow, if you have any questions or let me know what questions you have about this. Um, I'm here. I try to answer every comment, every question I get. And I do offer a free consultation because that's something I get asked a lot. And that link is found in my general comment section or description section, something. You'll find it. Anyhow, and if you can't, let me know. And I am happy to share it. I'll see you next time.